Hello, welcome to Monte Carlo Tamale.
Hi, Michelle. Welcome to Monte Carlo Tamale.
Hi, thank you for inviting me to speak.
We're going to talk about how your life is over here. You're in Villefranche at the moment, but you work in insurance in Monaco with yachts.
Mhm.
It's an interesting way to sort of think I'm going to go to Monaco to work in yachts. That obviously wasn't the way you started out. So talk
No.
about what you wanted to do originally, what your studies were, and what you thought your career would be.
So, yeah, I started out actually in medical insurance, and that was more to do with the fact that I enjoyed that kind of subject rather than the insurance side of things.
Such an unusual profession, but then you said you really enjoyed the medical
Yeah.
side of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it made it more interesting when you're dealing with the human side of things as well. I think that automatically makes it more interesting, and also dealing with the kind of empathetic side of things, and you're dealing with real people who are actually sick. So that kind of thing appealed to me, and also the technical side of what happens in these different surgeries and how they're coded and that kind of thing. So all of that really appealed to me. So I
You a
stayed
fan
in
of a
that sort.
medical drama?
Yeah, I mean, I do love watching a medical drama, ER and things like
Of
that. It's great.
course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that really interests me, but also then I got more into the technical side of insurance in the underwriting part of it. So that kind of led on to me thinking about other things to do with insurance.
And
But randomly, I met my husband during that period. He got a job in London, and I was working in London. And then he decided that he kind of wanted to move further afield for better weather and that kind of thing, because he's actually South African. I thought that really appealed to me too. I always had a kind of idea that I might not end up living in England forever. So we decided on the south of France, just because I already had a contact here that could help us out with accommodation and that kind of thing.
so
So
you used to come here though on holiday quite a lot when you were younger, is that right?
yeah, so I had a good friend at school, and she moved over here when she was about 20. She did her studies and did French and met a French guy and decided to stay. So I'd actually been coming here since I was about 18. And that was well before EasyJet. I used to get the coach down to Marseille that was
Oh
like
my
took a
God.
day. And so that was a very different experience to go on holiday. But we had some great times at a campsite in the Var. And then she moved to Nice with her husband. And so naturally, I was coming down to Nice quite a lot and knew Villefranche already. And so when I introduced my husband to this area, he absolutely loved it as well. So we
And was
thought
it
we'd give it a
Villefranche
go.
that you first moved to, or was it Nice?
Villefranche, actually. So on
Yeah.
the Moyenne Corniche. Well, the first place we lived in was actually in the mountain with my friend. She gave us a kind of granny annex for a couple of months to find our feet, because we moved over here without work or anything. We just saved for a year and said, let's go for it. I think we were both about 30 then. So we thought kind of now or never. So we just made the jump and gave up quite good jobs in London actually to just move over. So luckily she gave us a stepping stone, helped us with all the kind of admin of moving to a new country. And actually it was a little bit easier in that time, because that was when obviously Britain was in the
Pre-Brexit.
EU. So we could just literally get on a plane and come over with a bag. We didn't have to go to the
It's
prefecture or
crazy, isn't
anything.
it, to think how
Yeah.
simple. I'm sure
Yeah.
that obviously there is some admin, but to just think at that time you just had your passport and thought, "I'll go and live over there for a while."
Once we'd moved here, I found a job, and it was English speaking. So unless you're kind of immersed in it constantly and also have French friends or a French husband or boyfriend, it's quite hard to get it to that fluent level, which we found quite difficult actually.
Yeah, I
Um,
find that when I spend time down here, everyone says, "Oh, do you how good's your French?" And I just think, well, I wish there weren't as many English people here because
yeah,
I would
yeah,
be forced to have to speak more French. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly. So, I mean,
So how
since
did you
I
find your first job?
So actually that was on Anglo Info, which I think is still around, but it's not such a big thing now. We've got social media and everything. So I just found randomly an insurance job on Anglo Info, and thought I really need to get that job, because at the time I was working in an office in Nice, an admin English office, and they had just had the taxman visit them. One morning we got to work and there was about 13 men in black suits saying we couldn't touch our computers or anything. It was a bit crazy. It was like something from a film. About a week later, the office closed. because apparently the company hadn't been paying VAT or something as their head office. So this job came up on Anglo Info, and I thought I really need to get that in order for us to be able to stay in France, really. I went along, and it was a yacht insurance company in Monaco. Obviously, I had no experience of yachting at all at that point, but quite a lot of technical insurance experience. So I said to them, I really need this job, please, please, please.
Do the job.
Yeah,
And
and that
so
was
what?
like 18 years ago.
And it's the same company you're still with now, isn't it?
Yeah, 18 years later. Yeah, 19 years next year. Yeah, so.
Wow. So
Mm.
how did you adapt to the yachting industry? I mean, medical to yachts is quite a big jump.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So behind everything is the basic knowledge of insurance. So that's key. Learning the computer system and doing the admin is pretty similar. Initially, I thought, oh, I'm not sure if yachts are going to be that interesting, really. In terms of the claims and that kind of thing. But actually, it's a really interesting world. The world of yachting. It's totally niche and unique to anything else. In respect to the people that you're dealing with, you're dealing with ultra high net worth individuals who have quite big demands. You've also got a whole entourage of people between that person and obviously the insurance company. So you're dealing with lawyers, captains, yacht managers, a whole raft of people, different people. So it's super interesting in getting to meet all those different people.
How much time do you actually spend on yachts?
I think I said before, like, insurance is the least sexy part of the yachting world, so we don't get invited on yachts very often. But I mean, in boat shows, as your kind of own personal network grows, meeting different captains and that kind of thing, then you often get invites naturally through that. But probably not so much time spent on yachting. I mean, a lot of our team have their own small yachts.
Really?
Or do yacht racing and that kind of thing, which is great because we've got a really experienced technical team in claims because they really know about yachts. So yeah, quite a lot of them spend a lot of time on the water, actually.
Did you go any sailing lessons or anything?
No, I mean, my daughter does sailing lessons in Nice every summer, and my husband loves sailing. Yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time on friends' boats, so I really enjoy it. It's great to escape. I'm not sure about me actually sailing. I mean, it's quite a big jump to do that now at my age.
Talking before about how yachts, super yachts, has like a huge scale of costs. What would be a kind of a starting point of being able to buy a yacht and maintain it? What kind of costs are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, I don't know, say for instance, something like, between 5 and 10 million yacht. Obviously, that's a huge initial outlay. But in terms of keeping and running that yacht, then you're talking a lot of money each year just to keep it going. I mean, insurance-wise, I don't know, we're talking about probably, say, for instance, I'm trying to think like 0.5 of the values, say 50,000 or whatever premium. Then you've got all your crew costs, you've got your berthing, you've got all your provisions, your fuel, which is a huge cost. So in terms of running it, you need to be a very rich person to keep it running for a long period of time.
And do you find that a lot of people sort of go in with this wide-eyed, oh my, I'm going to have a yacht and this glamorous lifestyle, and then they just find they just can't afford it? Does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we do see quite a few where if they're first time owners, it'll be all fantastic. They'll have a new build and they'll be really involved in it and they'll ask loads of questions. And then by about the second or third year, you can see them trying to cut costs. And the first thing they do is contact the insurance to say, well, I want to cancel that cover and that cover and that cover, or reduce my crew for the winter. I only want one person on board looking after it, that kind of thing. They're looking at immediate cost cutting, and those are the two areas they look at is crew and insurance, which unfortunately are essential.
Most important things. I
Yeah.
mean, you're cutting back on insurance.
Mm.
What are you thinking about that is going to be the thing that could go wrong, that could actually that's it, you've lost your boat?
Well, I mean, what we have seen is some yachts that are left in marinas with maybe only one person on board when it should have more than one for a disaster recovery kind of situation. So the crew member could, be off the yacht for 48 hours because he's gone home or something. And then that there's an electrical problem and there's a fire. And then before they can get there, it's burnt and it's a total loss and it's sunk in the marina. I mean, those are extreme situations, but this does happen. And I think that a lot of owners aren't really thinking about protecting that asset in the proper way because really they should be acting as if they're uninsured. You don't know what the policy wording what the policy is going to say about you only keeping one crew member on board. So I think a lot of them are kind of a bit naive on that part. And the fact that this is your asset, and then it's a 5 or 10 million or even higher asset yacht, and you're not looking after it properly, which for us is kind of hard to understand because, I mean, we've got our houses, our jewelry, or whatever
People's
we've got.
houses aren't even worth that
Yeah,
amount, and you
no.
think of what you put
And you
into
would
that.
protect it at all costs, don't you? So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that those things do happen because of maybe lack of crew on board during the winter or those kind of things. That it does happen.
And is
So,
there a really big leap between sort of people that have sort of can just about afford a yacht, to the people that don't even, they don't even look at the noughts. They're just sort of
yeah.
like, yeah. So, and do you deal with a lot of those sort of really large sort of super yachts as well?
Yeah, so we do any size yachts at Pantaenius actually. We do like, your 5-meter dinghy to up into, your 200 million super yacht, bigger yacht. So we've got a wide range of experience and each office, we've got 11 offices, so each one has got their own kind of niche area market. So I think from sort of the 1 to 2 million to sort of 15 million, there might be self-made millionaires that have got a yacht and 99% it will be fine and they're running them fine, but I think some of them don't realize the cost of running it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got a mega yacht, you've usually got, you've got full yacht management, you've got tax advisors, you've got everyone involved in that kind of transaction. And as well as enjoying the yacht itself, it's also sometimes a business because it's a charter business, maybe.
Do you find that sort of like behind the scenes, people don't really admit it, but they do actually rent their yacht out to recoup some money? Does that happen a lot?
No, I think most of the time they're actually advising of that because there's tax benefits sometimes or and there's VAT issues and things like that. I'm not a tax expert, but it's kind of really confusing and complicated. So most of them will have to declare it to their flag state. So wherever the yacht is registered, the flag that you see on the back of the yacht, that's where that's registered and they have to declare that they're chartering. And then there's certain safety and different technical things that have got to be on the yacht for it to actually charter. So, it's got to have enough life rafts, it's got to have certain safety things going on there.
Yeah. And what we were saying before that, automatically it's a bit sexist really, but you think that it's mostly men buying yachts.
Yeah,
Are there many women owners?
Yeah, we are seeing more and more, and I think that until we had the Russian sanction thing put in place, sometimes we didn't know who the beneficial owners were, which was a bit crazy to think that we used to, that everyone used to act like that. Whereas now, that's one of the minimum requirements is to get to who the beneficial owner is, which is obviously kept confidential. But yeah, we're seeing more and more women, younger people. I mean, thinking about the younger people, they're more chartering rather than owning. I think the transfer of wealth to the next generation, which I think is meant to happen in 2030, isn't it? This big transfer of wealth. They'll see a lot of younger people owning the yachts that have been transferred from their parents, but a lot of young people seem to be chartering more than buying
More
yachts.
than they're not silly.
No, no, exactly, yeah.
What what happened with, because obviously we were talking before about in COVID and during that time, there were a lot of Americans that you said that were buying boats and yachts that were
Yeah.
coming over. I don't know if that was just to be somewhere away from everyone. What was that trend that happened around that time?
Yeah. I mean, we were all kind of, it was a crazy time, wasn't it? When we were all home working, homeschooling, trying to juggle everything. And it went crazy for us in terms of the number of quotes we were doing for people buying yachts and very quick transactions. They'd make quick decisions without maybe surveying the yacht or anything. And a lot of them were US owners that I don't know if that coincided with any kind of the wealth in the US is just growing and growing, or whether it was related to COVID. But we know for sure that some of it was COVID related, and a lot of that was US people buying those kind of sport fisher boats and things, and just getting out there on the water to get away from everything. But it wasn't just US actually; it was a lot of nationalities trying to do that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
amazing, isn't it? The
yeah,
trends of that amount of money just
yeah.
moving around. And we talked about Russian sanctions. How did that affect the industry? Because that must have had a massive impact.
Yeah, so I mean, it was really strange on the day that we got a phone call about certain people and companies being sanctioned. We suddenly had to terminate cover on quite a few yachts, and luckily for Pantanis, it didn't affect us too badly. Around 5% or something were Russian owned. Some companies, it's more like 40 or 50% of their portfolio was Russian. it had a huge impact for those people. We suddenly had to get out these letters saying you've got no more cover, it's terminated, and that was quite hard to do with some yachts we've had on cover for a very long time. Know the owner, know the captain, and then suddenly you're writing to them and saying, with immediate effect, you're not insured anymore.
It's
And I
crazy.
mean, yeah, I mean, I actually got some kind of quite choice WhatsApp messages from a captain
I bet you
because he
did.
just couldn't believe it. And I mean, it was unprecedented, and it was unprecedented for us. We didn't, it was all, we just suddenly had to act because once someone's sanctioned, then that's it, basically.
And we were saying that, did any of the Russian owners try and sneak back in as a different nationality?
Yeah, I mean, initially that happened a lot. So there would be a Cypriot passport and an Israeli passport, or even some British actually passports but I mean, as soon as you open the passport and look at the place of birth, that's our trigger to ask more questions. But I mean, our Know Your Client KYC across the board for everyone. We're looking at everyone and getting all their information because it's important generally. But yeah, at that time we were asking a lot of questions about, I mean, they'd only submit one passport and then we'd have to ask for their other passports and that kind of thing. And whether they still had business interests in Russia or that kind of thing.
Do you think it's improved actually because you've had to ask more questions? Was it a little bit more lax before and it's got a bit more strict?
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, it was always building to this point where where the KYC for banking and finance would have to be tighter because of anti-money laundering rules and coming in. But I think for 100% it's made things easier for us to operate, and everyone knows where they are. They know what information they have to submit. And if they're not submitting it, then it rings alarm bells anyway. So I think it has made it a much more black and white and easier to transact.
Yeah. And so you've been at the same job for the same company for 18 years,
Yeah.
and you're managing, I should imagine, sort of younger team members that are coming in and learning from your experience. What kind of difference do you find with the people that are joining the industry? Are they coming in it because it's Monaco and it's yachts and it's all the glamour? What kind of people are moving over and joining your company?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting now, actually, since Brexit, that we've had less people moving over, obviously, because it's not so easy to jump on the plane and move over. So I've got a great team of girls who have all either come over here because of love interests or that kind of thing, or they've actually moved here a long time ago and been at other jobs and then joined us. I've got some Monegasque people as well that are actually born to British parents and then, stayed here. So it's quite a mix. And they're actually people that are here for the long term because, as I said, it's not a place that you come for a couple of years anymore because of Brexit. You've actually got to have a job lined up, some income before you move over here to be able to get your residency card. So in terms of us advertising for new people, it's usually not British people anymore that are applying because they're not, unless they're already here established, it's quite hard to move over here, really. That's changed a lot.
There's a kind of a change in attitude of, we're older, and
Yeah.
seeing that the kind of the commitment of younger people. I'm not asking you to name any names, but
No.
younger generation, it makes me sound like I'm 80, that it's such a different attitude to work. They're always looking for that the grass is greener. It's quite
Yeah.
unusual to be at a place for 18 years. And yet for our generation, if you love your job and you like the company, you do stay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that things are slightly different over here because you don't have as much choice in jobs. Like, it's not like we're in London where maybe there's 5 other companies. We do see quite a lot of hopping around in the yacht management side of things because most of the big yacht managers are in Monaco. And so they can move around a lot more. I mean, insurance is quite specific. So, but yeah, I think it's really important that when you found a good company, then the longevity is really important for your career anyway. But in terms of my team, I mean, they're a fantastic team. I just see the differences in their kind of outlook in life. They really want to experience everything. I admire them because I wish I'd done that at that age. They were always going to new places in Europe.
You did. You moved to another
I
country.
know, but I feel like I haven't seen much of Europe in terms of, apart from work, I haven't kind of experienced, like long weekends away and all that, which I need to do more of now. But yeah, they're always kind of booking their next holiday or their next experience. And I think that's different in terms of, yes, they absolutely love the job and they're totally committed. But when I was that age, my main focus was kind of career development, and but everyone's different. I mean, everyone's different anyway. But I see a slight difference in that, where I'm trying to develop them, and they're developing love really well, but they're also looking what their next holiday is
In
and that kind
different
of thing.
areas, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah.
how does Monaco, because I mean, everyone thinks of Monaco Yacht Show as being really prestigious. How does Monaco compare around the world really as a place to have your yacht? I mean, Antibes is another really big
um,
yacht show. Do people still flock to Monaco as the place to be? Is
yeah.
it the place that you want your yacht and you want to be seen?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there are some really great marinas developing in different areas where maybe even, they've got bigger berths for some of these really mega yachts. I mean, the Monaco Yacht Show this year was still crazy, crazy 3 or 4 days of just running around. I mean, a lot of it is B2B, to be honest. I'm not sure how many owners are actually there. I mean, they're not going to walk around with a big hat on saying I'm an owner, but,
Do you sell many yachts during the yacht show? Or not you,
um,
but are many
yeah.
yachts sold?
I don't know. We also that information is quite hard to find out, and
Yeah.
sometimes there'll be some press releases after the show. But I know during the show this year, just they sounded the horns a couple of times each day, which usually means that's a yacht sold. Whether that's the actual yacht sold or whether that's just an agreement to sell the yacht, I don't know. But I mean, I definitely there was more horns sounding than last year. So, and
That's good.
apparently the market is a bit more buoyant than last year generally.
For you personally, you've a daughter here in France and you're settled here. You don't see yourself moving anywhere. How has it been with Elsa finding, schools and sort of being a mum in another country? Are you really happy that you're here as a family? Because it feels like such a beautiful place to bring up children.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's got its big challenges in terms of kind of French bureaucracy and also the language generally. But I found it fairly straightforward and I mean, the French system, the social system is really amazing in terms of medical schooling and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's more the language and the integration with the other French mums that I found a bit difficult. Elsa has grown up totally bilingual. She's now
So
12.
great.
Yeah, and much more outdoor lifestyle. I mean, practically 320 days a year you'll be outside, if not more. So I think in that respect, we love it and we love living by the seas.
Yeah.
I
Amazing.
can't imagine being anywhere else at the moment, though.
No. And so for work for you, 18 years is a long time, as we said, to be at one place. How do you see your future are you're just happy with what you're doing? Have you got ambitions to do anything different? Is there another way that you can learn more in the yachting industry that you're interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I think since in the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot more kind of public speaking, which I find personally challenging. So it's good for my development or for my brain, just continuously learning new things. And that then gives me opportunities to visit new places and meet some new people. So that's really important for me in my job. Whatever job I do, has got to have that aspect, I think. But yeah, I mean, I am learning all the time because every day you
It's
get a
not
new
French then,
situation.
Michelle.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I
You need
think,
that Duolingo app.
I know, yeah. I should be doing that every morning instead of scrolling, doom scrolling as they call it, don't they? Um, but I think in terms of the actual progression, and I'm learning all the time anyway. There's always a new situation at work where I'm like, oh, what? I'm not sure about that, or they want to go in this part of the world, or so there's always things to keep. I think that's why I'm still there. It's so interesting. But I've still probably got hopefully 12 or 15 years of my career, so I'd like to be able to think that I can develop a bit more.
Somebody wanted to come and do what you're doing, and even if they're in this country, if they're in France, but if they wanted to move, what kind of advice would you give somebody that wants to come and move over to France and get into yachting industry? What other positions do you think? Obviously, insurance is pretty niche and specific, but what do you find are the kind of easiest ways? And lots of people think their crew on a yacht is glamorous, but what kind of other jobs are there for people that want to come and work in that industry?
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge raft of stuff. If you're more kind of hands-on technical, then there's a kind of all the engineering companies behind and the shipyards that employ a lot of people. But if you're kind of English speaking, there's yacht management. I probably think is probably one of the good things to get into in terms of you've got accounts admin, you've got technical side of yacht management. There's a whole raft of different jobs you could do in yacht management. And I know that they have quite a constant turnover because they do have lots of people coming from the yachts into the onshore jobs, and then maybe they're moving on to another country afterwards. So that's quite a high turnover, I find, in some of those yacht management companies. I think the most important thing is knowing someone here and having a little bit of a support network, because it's quite tough moving to a new country when you don't know anyone. It's who you know down here for sure.
Yeah.
And, it's relationship building. I think that if you know someone here, then you should, really explore that opportunity with that person.
Exploit
Because,
them.
yes, exactly, exactly. Because, as you know, we meet lots of people when we're living here, and there's lots of transient people come and go in your life. So it's important to find your people,
Yeah,
basically.
find your tribe,
Yeah,
exactly. Really good
yeah,
advice. Okay,
yeah,
well, thanks so much, Michelle. So it's fascinating, the yacht world, really. I think, we look out to sea and we just see these shapes out in the water, and everyone's kind of what's going on behind the windows. You kind of
yeah,
it feels like it is sort of glamorous, but at the same time, there's lots of jobs like you're doing, which are kind of office jobs, but it's just on
yeah.
periphery, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I just watched that film on Netflix, Women in Cabin Number
Oh, I
10.
just saw that.
Yeah, so it's filmed on a big Fed ship super yacht. But that's all just fiction. But I mean, there's this on a yacht like that. You've probably got, I don't know, 30 crew working behind the scenes, and some of them you might not even see as a guest. They're down in the laundry or wherever they are. So there's a huge network behind, say, all these big yachts and how they run. And I mean, for me personally, I think crew are one of the most important things of owning a CPO, is looking after your
Yeah,
crew.
because it's your own little town almost in a
Yeah,
way, isn't it? If you're off for months or weeks, however
yeah,
it is, you've all got to get on. And
yeah.
so it's so important to have the right people around you, for sure.
Yeah, and captains really are, and some of the pursers and that are basically the kind of like the mother of, they're looking up, they're managing the crew, but also they've got to be there for all their kind of personal needs as well. So it's quite a big job, I think.
And captains, again, I go back to that question of sort of women buying yachts. Are there many women captains?
Yeah, there are a few. I know a few now. I mean, there's a lot actually, and I mean, obviously, there's. I think it's Captain Sandy, wasn't it? That was on the below deck program. So she's quite high profile female captain now, and she's doing some great work for charity and in doing like mental health for crew and that kind of thing. There's another captain I know that's doing similar work. So there are a lot of women captain out there, and I think it's just important to raise your profile in that respect, because you know, as well as being a female in it's kind of a male-dominated world, I think that it's a really good positive role model out there for people.
And one thing just to end, because I found this interesting, when you said to me about as soon as someone buys a yacht, very often they sell it straight away
Yeah.
because of the waiting time for somebody when they want to buy one. They've got to wait a few years.
Mm.
So very often you're going to get good money for something that you've literally just bought because it's ready for sale.
Yeah, I mean, that happens fairly frequently. And actually, I think they say that as soon as you bought a yacht, it's already on the market the next day, kind of thing. Everything's for sale, basically, but with the right price. I mean, if you're looking for a really big mega yacht, you're talking 4-year build period, or 4 or 5 years. So there are some yachts that may be only, a few months old, a year old, and they'll have offers on them immediately because the owner wants something immediately.
Great.
And obviously at the Monaco Yacht Show, there's a lot of brand new yachts sitting there for sale already that maybe have only been used for 6 months of the year or something.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thanks so much, Michelle. It's brilliant to chat
Okay.
to you today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.